This is a three-part series in which I'm going to share with you how to build, paint, weather, finish and present an award-winning A-5C Phantom starting with Trumpeter's 1/72nd scale Nanchang Q5C kit. In part 1 of the video, I will share with you details of the actual build. In part 2, I'll talk primarily about painting, weathering and finishing. And in part 3, I'll share with you how to build a tarmac base from scratch, as well as tips on model presentation. Hello and welcome. I'm Khavar and I've been a scale modeler since '92. Over the last 30 plus years, I've built over 75 models and have won numerous awards and recognitions at international competitions held in the UK, the Netherlands, Poland, the Middle East, Hong Kong and Pakistan. Trumpeter's 1/72nd scale kit of the Nanchang Q5C Phantom is a beautiful and accurate representation of the aircraft. The riveting and panel line is very nice. The fit is also great. Parts included in the box can help you build a PLAF Q5C variant. However, the version of this aircraft that was exported to Pakistan was known as the A-5C. There were notable external as well as internal differences between the PAF A-5C and the PLAF Q5C, which I'm also going to bring up in this video series. This model was assembled, detailed, painted and weathered with the help of 250 plus reference images that were collected from different websites. You will find a link to all those websites in the description below. For me, kit instructions typically help with no more than 25% of the actual building process. For the remaining 75%, I use reference photos. So what information exactly does come from reference photos? This includes part alignment, cockpit and canopy detail, wheel well and landing gear detail, exhaust nozzle detail, weapon loadout options, exact location and orientation of antennas, structural modifications and weathering patterns, and some color schemes too. Several books on the MiG-19 Farmer were also consulted for this build, since this aircraft shares a lot of its structural features with the MiG-19. It took approximately 3 months to build this model, roughly 250 hours. The cockpit was put together first. The export variant of this aircraft was originally designed with the Chinese HTY-3 ejection seat. PAF later replaced it with the Martin Baker Mark 10 ejection seat. Since the aftermarket Neomega Resin Mark 10 ejection seat is too tall for the cockpit tub, I ended up using the kit seat, which actually looks more like the Soviet KK-2 ejection seat. I supplemented it with Yahoo Models photo-etched seat belts, a face screen and a firing handle. A lot of extras were added to the cockpit, including a scratch-built JQ1 heads-up display, an oxygen hose, electrical wiring, avionics modules and side panels. The alignment of the tail, the horizontal stabilizers and wings was critical. The horizontal stabilizers have a 5-degree angle below the horizontal, while the wings have a 6-degree angle below the horizontal. You can use one of two techniques to get the wing and tail alignment right. The first is by posting a graph paper on the wall and then aligning the model parts by placing the model in front of it. The second is by opening a graph paper on a computer screen and using that as reference. MiG-21 F-13 pitot tube by Master was length adjusted and used as the nose pitot by drilling a 0.5 mm hole in the nose. Only 2 horizontal vanes were fitted to that pitot to mimic the A-5C nose pitot tube. I used an ultra-thin sprue and passed it through the vane hole to prevent the opening from getting clogged during the priming stage. Also, Master static discharges for MiG jets were used on the aft tips of the wings and horizontal stabilizers. Note that the nose pitot and static discharges were fitted before the priming stage to ensure a smooth transition. The seamless finish that was achieved because of this step came at the cost of considerable care that had to be exercised both during handling as well as the painting stage. Also, Master J6 F6 pitot tube was used as the longer standby pitot on the starboard wingtip. A 0.5 mm hole was drilled on the edge of the wing to house this pitot. Tamiya putty was thinned down using lacquer thinner and used at the base of the tail fin as well as where the wings connected to the fuselage. Again, thinned down putty was used to fill the gap between the fuselage and the fixed part of the canopy. The hinged aft canopy part was slightly sanded on the edges to achieve a seamless fit with the fixed part as well as with the fuselage. Before assembly, both transparent parts were polished with Tamiya polishing and finishing compounds. Later they were dipped in SC Johnson wooden floor polish and left to dry for 24 hours to achieve a glass-like finish. Placing the wing fences was slightly tricky in terms of alignment with the leading edge of the wing. Highly thinned putty was used with a fine brush to fill any gaps at the base of the wing fences. Most kit parts, photo etched parts, metal parts, and putty filled areas were sanded starting from an 800 grit sandpaper and going up to a 5000 grit sandpaper to achieve a seamless fit and level with the model surface. The gun barrels came molded together with the top wing parts in the kit. They lacked detail and clarity. These were cut out and 1mm holes were drilled in the root of the wings. Sanded down Master J6 F6 gun barrels were used instead, which really stood out on the completed model. Note that the F6 has two 30mm cannons, whereas the A-5C carries two 23mm Norinco Type 23-2 short barrel cannons. Since the air intakes are not deep and engine detail is not provided, scratch-built FOD covers with handles were prepared to give a more realistic finish to the final model. Other than the drop tank hardpoints, detachable wing pylons are provided in the kit, but I decided to leave them out to emphasize the 760-liter drop tanks and also to minimize the underwing clutter. Two hardpoints were installed on the belly. The Pakistan Air Force A-5C typically carried Matra Durandals on these stations. Since I could not locate aftermarket parts for these bombs at the time, I left those stations empty. First, there is no designated PE set for this kit on the market. The cockpit, landing gear struts and wheelbase in particular could definitely use additional detail. The closest options are the Brengan Holler PE set for the MiG-19 and the Murabu design PE set again for the MiG-19. Secondly, there is no dedicated aftermarket resin cockpit set available for this kit. The closest options are the Pavla Models MiG-19 cockpit set and the MH Models MiG-19 cockpit set. But again, you will have to tweak them to match the modified cockpit of the A-5C, which is not easy. Third, there are no dedicated weapons available for this kit except for Matra Durandal anti-runway bombs by Reskit. Personally, I think they would look fantastic on this model. Fourth, a dedicated mask set does not exist for this kit. You could however use a combination of PWIT and new wear masks to cover the essential areas on this kit like I did. And finally, there are no upgrade or modification sets available for this kit either. That's it for now. Stay tuned for part 2 in which I will primarily cover the landing gear, painting, weathering and finishing. Thank you for watching this video. Please post your comments, suggestions and questions below and I'll get back. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so. Take care.